welcome back to my channel. It's Andrea and I'm here for a long overdue Color Me reading update. I have not updated since September, so it's been 2 months. So I have a couple of books to go through for the months of September and October, and then the books that I'm planning on reading for November. So nothing different, just more things to go over because I just have very poor time management skills. So September's color was brown, and I read 2 books for brown. Only one was one that was like on my list, so to speak. The other one was actually a library book. But the first one, and I read this off of Courtney's recommendation because she said it was her favorite Margaret Atwood book. It's The Blind Assassin, which I have no idea where the dust jacket is, if the dust jacket has any brown on it, but this is brown, so that's what we're working with. But I really liked this one. It made me want to read more Margaret Atwood. The difference between Joyce Carol Oates and Margaret Atwood is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, Joyce Carol Oates was such a slog to get through. And this one, even though it's quite a long novel, it's 521 pages, and the Joyce Carol Oates one that I read was, I think, around 600 something maybe. I went through this one so much quicker. It was just so much better. It was. But this one is about, it's a story and then it's a novel within a story. The setup is very different. So it follows, oh my gosh, and I read this in September, so I can't even remember the names of the characters, which is terrible. This book follows 2 sisters, Laura and Iris, and the story is told through Iris's point of view, through present day like narration, and she is writing down basically her life memoir, life biography type of thing. And then interspersed in that are chapters from a book called The Blind Assassin that her sister Laura wrote, and it was published posthumously. That's how you say that, right? Posthumously. After she was dead, it was published. And the story comes together in a very, it starts out as one thing and then it ends up kind of turning itself on its head. I don't know how better to describe it. I don't want to that's the tough thing about giving like mini reviews of these books, because I don't want to spoil the book for anybody, because although, I mean, to me anyway, maybe halfway-ish through, it was pretty obvious things that were not clear in the beginning were pretty obvious by the halfway point, I think, for me. But I just thought it was really interesting how their lives turn out so different, because obviously Laura died very young and Iris is in the present day. She's in like her 80s or something like that. I mean, she's an old woman. And just how their life choices, I feel like it's very, they were born into a pretty wealthy, prominent family in their town, and the First World War happened, and then their wealth and prominence started slipping away, but there was always an expectation of what their lives would be. And Iris, it was really interesting because Iris is the older, Laura was the younger, and Iris acts like she has no agency in her own life. Like, she gets married to a quote-unquote rival of her father's because that's what's expected of her. Like, she knows she could say no, but she's just like, well, why not, I guess. And Laura is very much marches to the beat of her own drum. And it's just so interesting the way things unfold. What happens, I mean, there were a lot of points in the novel I wanted to just shake Iris and be like, come on, like make a decision for yourself, do something. But she just kind of like lets things happen to her instead of doing anything. And the one thing that she does do, it basically creates the nexus for the novel. So that's basically all I want to say about it, because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to give it away, but it was really good. But it was also kind of frustrating because, like, the main character, I was like, I want to shake her. I just want to shake her and be like, damn it, woman, take control of your own life. But maybe that's probably just like, 2021 Andrea talking. If I grew up at the same time that she did, who knows how I would be. But man, it was frustrating at points, but it was a really good novel. And then the next one that I read, that this is a library book, is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And this is the first novel that I've read from him. And oh my God, was it good. Like, I read this, and then even though this isn't part of the project, I also bought this for myself for my birthday, My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is his newest book. I read both of them, and I read a third novella from him that I downloaded off of Kindle called The Night of the Mannequins. He might be my new favorite author. Like, the way, not Night of the Mannequins so much, but definitely The Only Good Indians and My Heart is a Chainsaw. Just the way, like, he incorporates the Native American, like, mythology and stuff into his work. And just, like, The Only Good Indians is, yes, it's a horror novel. But I don't think that anyone non-native would have been able to write this. And I hope that's not insensitive or anything like that. That's not my intention, obviously. It's just, it brings such a unique perspective to a horror novel, just in the fact of what the horror is, I guess. But anyway, so this novel is about 4 friends who did something terrible one night. And when you hear that, your mind immediately goes to, like, oh, they killed someone or something like that. It's something that seems much, I won't say innocent, because it's not innocent, but it's also not what you would expect when you hear 4 friends did something terrible. But in the culture, what they did was terrible. And it was how the consequences of that action follows them through the years and catches up to them. And that's the most I think I will say about it. It was so good. I really, really liked it. I really, really liked My Heart is a Chainsaw as well, but I think I liked The Only Good Indians just, like, a little bit better. My Heart is a Chainsaw, it was much more ghost, supernatural. I mean, the whole premise of that is like a slasher movie, revenge type deal. This is supernatural, but not ghost. I don't know how to explain it without giving, like, too much away, so I won't. But one thing I thought was really interesting between both of them, I think they're both kind of similar in the way that I think at their heart, even though the My Heart is a Chainsaw, it's not quite as obvious as The Only Good Indians, but at its heart is about a mother and her love for and bond with her child. And I just thought it was really interesting the way that they could have, like, kind of the same core, but they're so different. And they were just really good. Trust me, I think if you like Stephen King, you will probably like Stephen Graham Jones. And he's better than Stephen King. He's less pulpy than Stephen King, definitely. Like, this is more, I mean, it's still horror, and there's still, like, lots and lots of blood and gore, but it's more literary than Stephen King is like. I mean, and I'm not knocking the guy. I like a lot of Stephen King stuff. But this is more of a literary horror than a straight up like pulpy paperback type horror. So, and then those were the two brown books that I read for September. And then October was orange, and I only managed to read one orange book for October. And that was this memoir, When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir by Patrice Khan Cullors and Asha Bandele. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her last name. It was really, it's about one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. Yes, it's about the Black Lives Matter movement and its birth, but it's also about, I mean, that's only a small portion of it, the actual Black Lives Matter movement, but it's about her life growing up in, I think it's Van Nuys, California, but I mean, it's definitely around the LA area. And her experiences dealing with the disparity of treatment from law enforcement and the judicial system between her family, her community, and, you know, the wealthy white community that was just a short distance away from her. The lack of resources for the people in her community, and just how they consistently work to keep Black and brown and people of color down while basically letting white people get away with anything, which we know that's what happens. But it was really, I won't say really eye-opening, because obviously I know that kind of thing goes on. I know that the justice system is skewed in favor of white people, and it's disproportionately hard on Black people and people of color for crimes for the same crimes that white people commit, but it's different. It is. And it was really, a lot of it was really heartbreaking. Like her one brother was in and out of jail for, like, not for pretty minor offenses. Like, there was some, I think, drug use and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, it's not like the people in her life are committing murders or anything like that. But the smallest thing gets them landed in jail. And her brother obviously had her brother has some kind of mental illness that was totally ignored by everyone in the system. They couldn't get him any help. And it was just, I mean, it was uplifting at points, but very heartbreaking, very depressing at other points, because you read it and you realize this is the experience of a lot of people in America. So I did like it. I think it's if you're interested in the movement, it's a good read, and especially because I don't remember a lot being made out of the fact, like, Black Lives Matter was actually created by 3 Black women, I think 2 of whom are queer. So it was very much meant to be, obviously for all Black people, but it was especially meant to be a place for Black women, Black trans women, Black queer women, as like a place for them. And that kind of, and she talks about it at towards the end a little bit, how it kind of, that part of it got overlooked, and the women kind of got ignored in the media. So I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it was really good. So those were the 3 books. I mean, I read more, but those were the 3 books that I read for this project. November's color is green, and I have a bunch of books that I really am excited to read for green. Actually, already read one of them, and I'm halfway through the second. So, but I'm not going to give like the review of it yet until my next update. But the one that I already read is Mexican Gothic. Oh my God, it was good. Courtney, you're going to like that one. The one I'm in the middle of is called and this is by the author Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is the only novel of hers I've read, but I would definitely read more because it, like I said, it was good. I read that in like 2 days. It was good. How many times can I say that? It was good. The one that I'm currently reading is called Last Days by Adam Neville. It's about a cult and the supernatural things that happen in the cults, and this is it says it's Britain's answer to Stephen King on the front. I can definitely see why. So then the other books that I may or may not read is Flannery, A Life of Flannery O'Connor by Brad Gooch. And I'm sure I do like Flannery O'Connor, but I'm sure you can see why I picked this book up. The other one that I am definitely going to read is this one called The Searcher by Tana French. I don't think this is part of her Dublin Mystery Squad series, but she has a series called the Dublin Mystery Squad where every novel is from the point of view of a different member of the squad, and she is such a good author. I love her. So this is her novel, The Searcher, that, again, I don't think it's part of that series, but I'm really excited to read it. Then I have The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, which obviously was it Amy Adams who was in that movie? But it was, or Emily Blunt? Who was it? I don't know. I didn't watch the movie, but I mean, there was a movie made about this, and it got a lot of good reviews. Then I have another Margaret Atwood book called Cat's Eye. I'm not quite sure what it's about, but I thought the cover, I'm pretty sure I picked this up at like a library book sale or something, and I guarantee you it was because this cover looks pretty awesome. And then I'll show it to you, but I guarantee I'm not going to get to this. This is just like one of those Barnes & Noble thing, or one of those books you find in Barnes & Noble. It's like the world mythology. And I mean, look at this. Look at that print. There's no way I'm going to read this, but at some point I'll get through some of it because I love mythology. It's just, this might not be the best thing to read all at once. But those are the books that I'm planning on reading. Well, the books that I am planning on reading and have already or are in the process of reading for November. And then I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I think, here's what I'm going to do. I am also going to show you my December picks. And then just at the end of December, I will do the final like update finale for this project. I am thinking not doing quite the color me reading kind of thing, but I am thinking of continuing. I don't know if it'll be every month, but maybe every other month doing a TBR or just a little mini review of books I've read, because of this project, I've been getting into reading again, and I just like talking about books. But I'm not gonna make a dedicated booktube channel. That's not going to happen. I don't read enough for that to happen. But I think every once in a while, just a video about what I've been reading would be interesting. So that's kind of my plan as of now. I'm going to go get the books for December, and then I'll show you those, and then we'll wrap this thing up because it's been going for a minute. So the color for December is purple, which I only have 3 books for purple, which is okay because that means I will be able to get through maybe more of my green ones. But the first one is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I've had this for a long time and I've never read it. So the second one, I think this was a hand-me-down from my grandma or my uncle or somebody, because I'm really usually not into like books like this, but it's Along Came a Spider by James Patterson. And I know it was a movie, and we'll just see. We'll just see. Maybe I'll like it. And then the last one is a collection of stories by Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray and Other Fantastic Tales, which I've never read Dorian Gray, so we'll see. I'm going to see what the other ones are in here. Oh, so it's The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is a novel. Then there's 3 stories, and then there's a couple of poems, which I don't know that I've read any of these ever, so this will be interesting. So yeah, that's my to be read for December. Not as exciting as my November ones for me personally, but that we'll see what happens. So with that being said, thank you for sticking around for this long if you have. And as always, if you've read any good books lately, and especially you, Courtney, because apparently we like have the same taste, please let me know down below, because I would love to check out more books, especially if they are more of like the horror mystery type books. That's what I've been into lately. And I hope you're having a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.